Welcome to Yokoten. I'm Rishad. I'm your host today. Yokoten is all about sharing best practices. So today we have our founder, Yasas Gunaratna. Welcome, Yasas.
Welcome, Rishad. Thank you.
Okay. So Yasas, tell me, what inspired you to start HasH33 in the first place?
Okay, interesting question, Rishad. So, HasH33, okay, as a kid, I always wanted to do something of my own. So, I've always been looking at an opportunity for entrepreneurship. And then, before I was planning my marriage and all that, and then my wife was working for an organization which required her to work American hours as well, which means she goes to work at night and she comes back early morning and vice versa. So it didn't seem the right decision at that time. So I told her, why don't we start something on our own? And she was like, what can we do? So I said, like, you have an IT background, I have an IT background. Let's probably start doing web designing, right? Let's create websites. And at that time, there were a few opportunities we knew that required website development. I remember there was a institute where I learned my marketing from. They wanted a learning portal. So we actually started doing it even before we started HasH33. We started doing certain websites, and then I realized we need to register a company, and that actually was the start.
Okay, interesting. If you had to do the same today, would you do?
No, I wouldn't. I would definitely do the same thing, but I wouldn't do it the same way.
Why?
Because at that time, even if you look at the name, I think that's another question a lot of people have asked me. Why HasH33 or people, if I look at a mistake point, people started calling us HasH33 because, like your shirt says, it has HasH33, the two numbers.
Correct.
And then at a glance, it looks like HasH33. But if you look at my shirt, it has HasH3, the letter, the number, and then the word 3. We changed it to HasH33 so people could read it easily. And why HasH33 is because if you take my wife's name and my name, Yasas, the two names together has 3 A's, letter A's, and 3 letter S's. And her name has 2 H. So coming from a computer background, HasH is a computational notation. So we took HasH and then we used HasH33 because the 3 A's and 3 S's. Now, even more than our two names, what was more important for me was to have a short URL, web address. So when we looked at all the common names out there, even back then in 2012, even 2011, it's very difficult to get a short name.
Okay.
So hash33.com seemed a short URL. That's one reason. And believe me, at that time, hashtags were not invented. There was no hashtags.
Exactly.
And it so much came relevant to us that today hashtags are there. So a lot of people think HasH33 is because of hashtags. And if you look at the keyboard, number 3 key is the hash key.
Yeah.
And if you look at our values, it stands for HasH, HasH. Honesty, attitude that's positive, simplicity, and happiness. So there's so many things behind the name. But the question you asked is, would I start it again? Definitely. I'll always love to start an entrepreneurship journey. And you know I'm constantly involved in various things and really helping startups. So I will do it again. But what I may not do is the way I started. Because when I started back then, I had no business plan, no idea. I hadn't started even my MBA then. I had no experience like today. So if I do start HasH33 again, or if I start something again, it might not be HasH33 by name. Definitely I'll probably look at something that is easily referenceable, something that people can say easily, so I won't make the mistake. Even if you remember the older logo, there were mistakes we made, so we had to rebrand the logo. So definitely I'm going to look at brand identity more serious. In terms of the business model, really looking at it, I had no clue what I was doing back then. We were doing website development, later I wanted to do software. You came into the business and we started digital marketing, and today we are doing consultancy. So if you really look the early days of HasH33, we didn't really have a business plan. We were going ahead with, of course, new things. digital marketing was unheard back then, right? You remember when we used to speak to C-level people, they said like, no, what is digital marketing? For them it was social media marketing. They said we won't be on social media, that's where our kids are. That was the mindset. So coming back, I'll definitely look at things more seriously with a business plan, and it'll be something probably totally different even.
I remember those days when C-level, when they heard Facebook, they sometimes they don't even welcome or they don't want us to, have a discussion. But now things have evolved.
And we were also young, right?
We were also very
They
young.
didn't see us quite serious.
Quite serious. So now things have evolved, and so my next question for you, Yasas, is like, have you failed, or what are the setbacks while you were running #3?
Very interesting question, because I would rather ask myself, have I succeeded? Because I see more failures than anything. We are 13 years. Actually,
Yes.
it is 13 years now as a registered entity, but of course we even started before that.
Before that, yeah.
And you've been there almost 12 years, right? Or more than 12 years.
13.
13 years, yeah. And in UAE, we've been there 3 years.
3 years, yeah.
So I don't like to use the word failure, but I would like to always call it challenging times. We've always had challenging times.
Yeah.
Because as you rightly said and reminded about how we started, starting with digital marketing, people didn't understand what it was. Companies didn't understand. They were referring to social media. So there were many times, one of the biggest mistakes we made early days was we didn't have a reference for pricing. There was no pricing strategy for digital marketing. So as a result, I believe we priced very low because there was no one else, and we had to kind of convince people first to start trying things.
Yeah.
And some of our clients stayed with us for even a decade.
Correct.
And from that price, we couldn't go up. So it was
Yeah.
only an incremental 10%, 15% that we could go in.
Correct.
So our opportunity to earn was very less from certain clients because of that.
Yeah.
But of course, they stuck with us. They were happy with us. And one thing we were really good was consulting for them, bringing new ideas, and the keenness we had. We were more passionate about their business. We were like their own employees. Every time we work with a client, we adopt their business model. So that was one thing that really differentiated us, right?
Yes.
So if you look at how we worked back then, I would say every time we do something new, it was a challenging moment. Somebody can call it a failure. So pricing definitely was one thing we were challenged.
Every day was a challenge.
Every day was a challenge.
Yeah.
We were bootstrapping. If we take today's words, we were startup, we were bootstrapping. We didn't start with office. I remember I had an apartment we had rented down Mount Lavinia, and you used to come and we had a bedroom, right? With, just a bed there and one table and a chair. I remember you were even working on that bed at times, right? So we were working that way, and you said like, I can't come all the way from Borella. So you were so lazy to come to Mount Lavinia. So we had to figure out how are we going to get you to office. There was one person at that time was working from home, right? Close to your house. So you would go to his place or he comes to your place. I can't remember.
Yeah, we were swift.
Yeah, so that's the time we worked, and we were literally remote from them. Then we got a small office space. It was a nightclub at night. Remember? And in the morning it was an office.
It was an office, yeah.
And then we had a girl working with us, and when she came with her father early morning, the guys of the nightclub were not properly dressed, and so we didn't want to continue there. We kind of gave away that space and went to a different office. So every day was a challenge, and it was really bootstrapping, and we had no idea how we were going to build this business.
Yeah. So while you say challenge, I mean, every moment we learned
Definitely.
a thing or two.
That's the important point, right? Every moment told us how not to do things than how to do it. So I've asked this question all the time, like, if we had done things right, would we be better?
So, that was my next question. So if you wish anything, you could do it, you could have done in different way, what would it be?
Yeah, so before that, I think I'll answer it in a different way. If we had not done those mistakes, or if we didn't have those challenges, or if we were lucky, like things we did worked out well, I don't think we'll have this experience today. And if we don't have that experience, the ability to be agile, flexible will not be there. We'll probably be, let's assume, right? Things worked very well back then. We got everything right. And then we made a lot of money. Probably we would have got ourselves wasted at that point. And probably had other problems and not be these people today.
Definitely.
But all those challenges probably gave us different values. It grew us. I remember the days you were just very, very young, right? You were not even married then. And from that Rishad to this Rishad, I see a major difference. Even your friends mentioned that. Same with me. I always consider HasH 3.3 as a PhD for me because we were learning and we were trying and changing. So it gave us the opportunity to be better, different, and think about things in a different way. So today, a major portion of business has become consulting, and we're consulting for global companies out of Sri Lanka also. And that wouldn't have been possible if we didn't have those challenging moments, the so-called failures, and if we haven't had the hard, rough times, if we hadn't been fooled by certain people, if we hadn't been paid the same way, I think we wouldn't be these people. So, coming back to your question, would I do things different? I would plan things better. But I actually embrace those moments of so-called failure because that made us stronger. And I think for any business to be successful, you need to face that type of challenge, either as an entrepreneur or as a business lead in a different organization. So, if it's a piece of advice I would like to give anyone is...
That's my next question.
Okay, sorry. I'm a mentalist, right? Go ahead.
So, what's the best advice you would give if someone wants to start a digital agency?
Digital agency or business in general?
Or business in general.
Okay. I would say there's this fad that's happening today, right? Because people look at all the success stories out there on social media, and everybody, or not everybody, but most of youngsters would want to have their entrepreneurial journey. They want to start something. That's okay. I think if you look at our story and my story, I had the same passion. However, I would say yes, you can be lucky or you can learn through mistakes by starting an entrepreneurial journey at a very early stage. Even when you're going, probably during a school time, you can try things and you can probably try out things, and maybe you will be successful or maybe you will have challenging times and failures. But if you really want to succeed and you want to find the ideal recipe to have an acceleration in your business startup, then I would say gain experience. And the best way to gain experience in a safe way is to work under someone else. Because when you work under someone else or some other business, it's not your personal risk, but use that opportunity to learn as much as possible and not just specialize in one thing, but go across. Learn a bit of finance, learn a bit of marketing, learn a bit of sales, learn a bit of tech, because today tech is the only thing that will always be there, like engineering as it used to be, right? So be with tech. You don't need to be a software engineer, but understand tech concepts, understand AI, whatever that comes new, go ahead with that. Because when we started back then, Facebook didn't even have a page concept. We used to create profiles, first name, last name for brands, right? But it evolves.
Yes.
One advice I would always tell youngsters is, Rishad, be ready for challenges, number one. Don't look at a easy life as an entrepreneurial journey. You might be blessed if you have a lot of wealth and you're going to put money into a startup. It's good to start big and have a nice working environment, specialized people. If you have that investment, yes, you can start that. So you're not going to have a rough start. But gaining customers, working with customers, developing products and services is not going to be easy as you think, unless you're going to copy someone else's business idea. So be ready for an entrepreneurship journey. Don't think it's going to be an 8 to 5 job, and be ready to do anything in that job. So that's a piece of advice I would like to give.
Yes, as you correctly mentioned, when you start the entrepreneurship, sometimes you become the cleaner, and sometimes you know, when the AC or when the fan is not working, you have to go and do it, right? And sometimes you have to wash your floor or kitchen, yeah. So I remember we both used to do that before the employees come.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And then
it's a thankless job. Right?
Thankless job. And then you know, when they come, we act as our managerial positions. So yeah, it is very interesting, and that comes to the end of our show. So brilliant advice for anyone who want to start an entrepreneurial journey. And thank you, Yasas. Thank you
Rishad.
for having your time. And
Rishad.
we'll see you at the next Yokoten session. So signing off, Rishad.
Yasas.
Bye.
Goodbye.